And we're back. I told you it was going to be a short break, and it was. I think that was pretty short.
Yeah, it was
right?
fairly short.
Hopefully,
I would say.
you had time to get some water, a snack, so that we can jump back into round 5 and watch another really fun game. We'll jump into it right. You know what? We'll just jump into it right away. Let's just do it right away. We don't need to talk. Let's go into round 5.
I can see a hero that I really want to see right off the bat. We have some Oldhim, and I want to see more Oldhim in sealed. So I think this is going to be very, very interesting. Whoa, very interesting right off the bat. Oldhim, no equipment.
Oh my goodness.
He does.
Oh
have
my goodness.
Does have a shield. No equipment. So that's very interesting.
Ed is 4-0 with no equipment except rotten old buckler. So he looked at a seal pull and he said, "You know what? I like that buckler. I'm running it."
That's actually very scary. If I was sitting in Paul's spot, I'd be like, "Yo, this Oldhim doesn't have any equipment and he's 4-0. That means his deck is probably like fire, like maybe ice.
That is quite scary. That's like a very good point. Ooh, coming in. I like this. So he played down the Amulet of Earth.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then he's coming in with an Evergreen. Evergreen is coming across for either 5, 6, or 7, depending on which Evergreen we're looking at. But he is pitching blue, Weave Earth blue for it.
The Amulet of Earth is very interesting because it always threatens an extra little pump of damage if you have Earth Fuse that turn.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be sitting there waiting, to push that extra damage through.
Certainly an underutilized card. All 3 of the amulets do have a place. They all pitch blue, too. Ooh, coming and blocking with Thump, a card you want.
Yeah,
generally.
Blocking with Thump does block for 3, so that's pretty good here. It also means he's going to end up taking a little bit of damage.
Yeah.
Which is kind of scary, actually. So, I mean, like if Oldham's opting to take some damage instead of blocking out and getting a draw up, then it means that he's got some stuff in his hand that he likes.
It definitely could mean that, yes. And it's one of those scenarios where, like, with a 3-card hand, if we're able to pitch and play something giant and then fuse it. Oh, actually, he's setting up a Strength of Sequoia, a card I'm very familiar with.
Oh, yeah,
and then,
yes.
Oh, this is great. He's going to fuse it, so it's going to create a Seismic Surge token, a token that will stay out in the field, destroy on the start of your next turn, and reduce the cost of a card, your next Guardian attack action card. And then he follows that up. Did he play a So from tomorrow from his arsenal?
I believe it is from Arsenal, so he will get to draw a card.
Yeah.
Looks like they're maybe possibly looking for some clarification here, but I love that card from Arsenal. I think it's fantastic from Arsenal. I think he might be asking some interaction with this. So either way, I think it's great.
You know what? I think this is one of those scenarios where the question is, can you play a So with no target? And if I remember correctly from the release notes for Tales of Aria, you can't actually play So from tomorrow with no target. But I'll have to.
I think that's exactly what they were talking about.
Yeah, because there's no target, there's no Earth action or Earth instant that you can go fetch with. So.
Yeah, because he just has that Guardian attack in the bin.
So instead, he just pitches here and attacks with Titan's Fist. Titan's Fist comes across for 4 because the requirement on Titan's Fist has been met.
And coming in for 4, not too bad at all with your weapon. I think I really like Oldham's weapon in Aria Limited. I think I think it's pretty good. Just coming in for 4. It looks like. Paul's not really going to opt to block. And
so here's the thing. If he chooses to block, he's reducing the damage output of his next turn. And when your Oldhim player opponent has Strength of Sequoia on the board, knowing that your next attack is going to be pumped, you have to, as the opponent, you have to put pressure on their hand and say, okay, are you going to get value out of that Strength of Sequoia? Because if you are, we have problems.
That's a great point. You definitely want to try to strip cards out of his hand so he can't get value out of it.
And here's a Vela Flash with a Lightning Fuse, so possible non-attack at instant speed.
Pretty scary. Like pretty scary. And then Ed's sitting here. He's like, I want to use my Strength of Sequoia. I also have this Seismic Surge token, which will reduce the cost of my next attack, too. Yeah. So you have to factor all of these things into play. We already know what card is in his arsenal, so that could affect what cards he blocks with, so he can actually have a legal target.
Oh, my gosh.
But he's choosing to block with a Thump.
Another Thump. That's the perfect target for Strength of Sequoia and Seismic Surge. This is shocking. This means that maybe he has a third Thump. Or something even crazier. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see. So we do have an instant speed Electrify. He will get that action point back. We'll get that action point back. And so he's like, Paul's like, what do I want to follow this up with? It's going to threaten a lot more damage. Ooh, this is a nice one. So if he fuses this, it's going to deal 1 arcane damage and then have go again, which is exactly what he's doing. So it's going to deal 1 point of arcane damage and then have go again. So Paul is definitely threatening a very scary and wide turn and maybe creating a ton of these Embodiment of Earth tokens because, you know, if this hits, it'll make another one. And then if it hits, it'll also trigger Electrify, which will make another one. So this is 3 potential Embodiment of Earth tokens, and
which is what he wants in this scenario because if Ed swings back with something giant, then and he's going to block with an Entangle, so stopping some of the physical damage, obviously taking the Arcane here, and this would prevent the Electrify trigger, and that's kind of what you want. But
for sure.
Can he get this big attack through with a 2-card hand and an Arsenal? That's going to be the question.
So we do have the Rosetta Thorn coming in for 2 and 2 Arcane. I mean, the 2 Arcane, it's just unavoidable. You're probably going to take the other 2, right?
I think he does. I think that's exactly what he was indicating to the judge, that he's going to take the 2 Arcane, then take the 2 Physical so that he can destroy Strength of Sequoia, destroy Seismic Surge. If it's a red Strength, then this is +3, and if it's a Seismic Surge, of course, it's -1 to your next attack's cost.
Yeah, so we saw him get rid of some Thumps. I'm very curious to see what he follows this up with, because Thump is a great card.
Is this a Glacial? Just pitch 2 blues? Oh, it was a third thump.
Another thump.
There's the thump. This is the play. This is exactly what you want to play.
One of my favorite things to say in this set is you pump the thump. You pump the thump, get that dominate, and come in with an absurd amount of damage.
This looks like a red thump, so this is 9 damage. It's dominated. If it hits, your opponent discards a card. So he's going to be playing with a 2-card hand off of the dominated thump, and it's going to push 6.
And this is how we see Oldhim push damage through. We've seen Briar push damage through all day. This is how Oldhim pushes damage through. These massive, dominated Guardian attacks. This is how you do it. And this is kind of what I want to see. I want to see more Oldhim, and I want to see more of these big old Guardian attacks.
This is a great card. This is a card like I said, I'm familiar with this card as well. And these 2 cards in concert together, Strength of Sequoia and Thump, are just the perfect limited combo. Being able to set that up over 2 turns. The fact that he has 3 Thumps in this deck, he's a man after my own heart.
And they're both common cards too. So these are cards that you definitely want to be paying attention to, both in sealed but also in draft as well.
Yes. Stir the Wildwood coming in and fusing, so this will come across for 6. So still a really good swing back.
Definitely. And so now Ed's had a pretty big turn, right? He's got to be thinking, right, how can I follow this up? Can I have another turn as big? We already know what card he has in Arsenal.
But I think this is a very scary moment because, yes, he just fused this stir, and it's only coming for 6, but you destroy the amulet, it comes for 9. So you do have to respect this because dropping to 4 is not something you want to do against Briar.
Exactly. You can't discount that amulet. And like I said, I think this amulet is going to see definitely see some play here. We also have that Mark of Lightning sitting there, too. We've seen Mark of Lightning put a ton of work here. So, you know, that Mark of Lightning plus that amulet, he's got like an extra almost 2 damage on board. Yeah, I think Paul's in a pretty good situation. He still has his full suite of equipment, too. He's got his Sutcliffe's hides. He's got his Deep Blue. So here we see, finally, that Sotomaro
has a target. Sotomaro has a target. He can play it.
Yeah, huzzah.
And draw a card, which you always love the draw card here. The amulet would have given that +1, by the way, so the stir would have come across for 7, which is still scary. You still have to worry about that. He's going to go fetch the... I didn't actually catch which one he fetched. Did he fetch the Entangle?
I didn't see...
That doesn't make sense. But
either. It needs to be a...
an Earth card, I believe.
But in any case, draws up, has go again. So now he still has 2 resources floating. So he's got a lot of options here. I guess the ideal situation is where you just come in with a big old attack, hopefully dominated, but I guess we're going to see what he's doing. Okay, so this is a very interesting attack, right? If this is the red version, if it's a red version, it's coming in for 6. Yellow is 5, but either way, it threats a pretty sweet on-hit effect where it creates a Frostbite token for the opponent.
Yeah, and it did look like, looking back at it, he's pitching away the thump there. Another
thump.
He did grab, I think it was the red Entangle from earlier, which can be fetched because it's an elemental card. Coming in for, I think this is 5, but this, like you said, a very scary on-hit effect of creating a Frostbite token, which can mess up certain heroes, certain archetypes. Yeah. I think Briar can probably play around it a little bit more depending on the composition of their deck, just because they can sometimes overpitch.
Double block.
Yeah, sometimes overpitch with things. But in this respect, you just respect the card and you move on. from there.
I mean, like, we've talked about, like, the kill zone for Briar a lot, but I think there's, somewhat to be said for a, like, Oldhim kill zone, too, because he can come in for so much damage.
Yes, all you need as an Oldhim player is to get your opponent to 8 or less, and then you can threaten, like, Glacial Footsteps.
Glacial Footsteps dominated is scary.
Yeah.
So this is a Burgeoning, I believe.
It looked like it was from Arsenal, too. I didn't quite catch if it was from Arsenal, but nevertheless, a Burgeoning coming across for 4, 5, or 6, depending on the color of the Burgeoning.
Yeah, if it was from Arsenal, it gets an additional +1. So, nothing to sneeze at. Still a decently threatening attack, especially, you're going to have to block at this point.
I don't sneeze at any attack personally myself. Blocking with a Strength of Sequoia, another Strength of Sequoia coming down for the block here.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised about blocking with the strength of the Sequoia here.
I think, and this is an interesting thing, taking all the way down to 6. So he took 4 there. So it did come from Arsenal. It must have been the red because he blocked 3 down 2. There's a Glacial. There's a blue Glacial playing a Polar Blast.
Oh,
this is
very interesting.
This is forcing Paul to make a decision how he wants to play this turn out as the defending player, and I like that a lot. It's going to be really interesting how this unfolds. But as I was going to say, I think auras are fantastic for Oldhim early game, but as that tempo starts to pull more tension back and forth, the later you get into the game, the more difficult it can be to play them down.
Yeah,
look, his own Amulet of Earth.
Ooh, okay, so we have a Mulch. This is a fused Mulch. He did get a draw card from the card that he played from Arsenal.
Sure, from Polar Blast, yeah.
Exactly. And so he's coming in with Mulch. Mulch is fused. Mulch is a very interesting card. What color Mulch is this? Either way, it hits for quite a bit.
Yes, Mulch is very strong. It's a very strong attack, and because it's fused, it's threatening that Arsenal card. And the Arsenal card was just the Sigil of Suffering.
Oh, that's rough. So he's like, I'm going to threaten your Arsenal card, and then Paul's like, well, I mean, I'll just play it.
I'll just play it. And by the way, you take 1.
Yep. Ouch.
Oh, man.
That hurts.
But still a very strong attack that comes across and actually does put on some pressure. Takes cards out of hand, takes a card out of the arsenal. Unfortunately, it doesn't threaten that arsenal like you'd want it to, but still a strong attack.
Ever whittling Ed down to that also important kill zone.
Yes.
Okay,
and
this is a scary card.
Does he fuse it, or is he just playing it for no effect, just for the 0? And it looks like it's a yellow, perhaps, so attacking for 3, maybe.
It looks like he might not be fusing it.
Yeah. Oh, and a block from the Snow Under. It was a 4, so he blocks Snow Under plus the Buckler.
And using that rotten old Buckler, blocking it out.
This is one of those scenarios where he knows that he doesn't want to get to 4 or less.
Yeah, I think that's a good play. And it also allows him to keep more cards in his hand.
Yep.
So he can set up for a much bigger turn.
And you need that as Oldhim. You need to be able to pitch multiple cards, play something giant.
Okay, so we have a pitch, Strength of Sequoia. Oh, okay.
Evergreen for 7.
So this card, since it was played from Arsenal, will go on the bottom of his deck, which is great. You know, it's a great card to set up for late game.
And so, 7 damage is nothing to sneeze at.
Yes,
it's nothing.
Nothing to sneeze at.
It's nothing. And so you have to watch out for it because 7 is something where it can mess with breakpoints a little bit.
I think 7's great in this set because most of the cards on average block for about 2, right? So even if you want to try to block this out, you're going to have to block with a lot of cards or commit a ever important 3-block card.
And look at this. He's blocking with a Channel Thunderstep, so this blocks 5.
That's spicy.
Blocking 5. Maybe that was only for 5. We'll have to see as the life totals get updated because it could have been a blue Evergreen, which does go to the bottom because it was coming from Arsenal.
That's
anyway.
true. The fact that he blocked with the Singeing Steelblade is also very interesting because that's a great card to push a little bit of arcane damage through.
It might have been his only scenario. He could have things like Ball Lightning in his hand, right? We've seen that already be a factor when blocking.
That is very true. Okay, so we have a deep blue activation here. So Paul's going to have to tuck a card, but he's going to get 3 resources, which tells me that he's going to set up for a really big turn. He wants these resources. He's going to start. Oh, very interesting.
And I think this is one of those scenarios where he just didn't have, maybe he had a red heavy hand. He just didn't have the ability to put on adequate pressure, perhaps. And so doing this means you can tuck a card that was very unvaluable to you and then just come across with break ground for some amount of pressure and damage. And again, if he can push that life total any lower, he might be able to just sneak away with this win with some arcane damage.
He does still have that Mark of Lightning. He does still have that Mark of Lightning.
Yep.
Ooh, we see a block with a Majestic card here.
Yeah, double blocking. One of those cards is the Endless Winter, which you would love to play, but at this point costs 4 and it's just a little too expensive.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. And at this point, you just got to block it out. Ooh, so we have we have pitching and then another burgeoning,
burgeoning
from Arsenal.
Most likely 7 because it does look like it's red, but from Arsenal does give it that nice little pump up to 7 if it is red.
This is a very interesting game so far. We've had a lot of just like big, heavy attacks, like heavy single attacks coming from both Oldhim and Briar, actually. And a lot of like 6-7 attacks, which is very interesting, especially from Briar.
Ed's doing a fantastic job of preventing those Embodiment of Earth token creations as well, which would make blocking some of these counterattacks much easier.
Oh, for sure.
And because he's doing that, it is kind of, I don't want to say it's stalling this game out, because it's not stalling it by any means, but it is stretching it out to a much more competitive affair, and one he can position himself perhaps to pick up the win on.
So it looks like we have a single block here, which means Paul's he's gonna take some damage.
Yeah.
So Paul, he's got a little bit of a cushier life total. He can spare some damage here and there, but
Bramble with the fuse, Bramble fusing with the Summerwood Shelter. Most likely going to pitch away the Summerwood Shelter. They're both players are at 4 at this point.
So this is a very scary turn. Oh, no.
And there's the ball lightning.
This is a very, very scary turn.
Dealing 2 arcane. That's pushing Ed down to 2.
So he's gonna push him down to 2 with go again. He also has a Rosetta Thorn. So, I mean, is this the final turn of the game?
It has to be, because
what I'm asking.
This ends the game right here on the spot, because you can calculate out the Rosetta Thorn's going to deal 2 arcane, and that's going to be it.
What about Oldhim's defense reaction hero ability?
Okay, so it's a defense reaction, which means you have to deal with the arcane prior to moving to block card step.
Yeah.
So you can't actually use the defense reaction in this scenario, unless actually,
because he could use the defense reaction and then prevent the next 2, right?
Right. If you used it as a defense reaction against ball lightning,
yes,
while also blocking out, that'd be your only scenario in this situation to pitch an Earth card and prevent the next 2 that you would be dealt. That would be your out here.
Yeah, that's the lineup play I'm seeing.
Oh, but you know what? Doesn't matter, because he just a mark of lightning. It comes across in the end as well. He's gonna do the effect now, I guess. But I think this is an immediate effect.
Oh, we have a pop of the amulet here.
Amulet pops, deals 1, but that 1 deals 1 more.
It's gonna deal an extra damage.
Does it push it over the top, coming across? It may very well just push it over the top. There's so many little tricks right here in this moment.
Either way, that's going to be game.
That should do it.
Yep.
What a fun way. Showing all the different possible lethal outs in that scenario. A fun way to end that game. You don't want to see it as Oldhim, but again, you don't want to drop down to that low life total, because there are just so many tricks in this set for Briar to kind of take on you. And so as the defending player, you really want to prioritize your life early, and therefore may want to consider not running cards that have 0 block value and run higher block totals. Maybe take advantage of the defense reaction earlier if you have the ability.
We didn't see a lot of defense reactions for Oldhim that game.
Right, and using his effect as a defense reaction, maybe you try to make that use of that like earlier in the game. Nevertheless, though, a fantastic game to wrap up round 5. So hang with us for a little bit longer. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to hop into round 6 right after this.